Hello everybody, welcome back to my series Is One Case All It Takes, where I open up a booster box case of the most recent set to come out in the Pokemon TCG. We open up the case, go over all the pull rates, talk box by box and break it down, basically how everything went, and simply just try to answer the question, is one case all it takes to complete a master set? And in this video today, we are going over the latest set in the Pokemon TCG to come out later this week, Destined Rivals. Destined Rivals has a ton of new amazing Pokemon. We have a ton of new, beautiful illustration rares, SIRs, so many great cards across the board. And on top of that, we have just a ton more trainer Pokemon than we saw in the last set with Journey Together. And probably some of the most beautiful cards that we have in this set, Team Rocket's Mewtwo, Cynthia's Garchomp, and Ethan's Ho-Oh, and so many more. This was an incredible set to open. I really enjoyed it, and I know that I'm going to be probably opening up a little bit more, but hopefully not going too crazy because there are just so many cards to get in the set. But let's go over the pull rates now and try to answer the question, is one case all it takes to complete a master set for Destined Rivals? Alright, so before getting into box one, just to give a little bit of a TLDR, personally I feel like Destined Rivals is pretty similar to Journey Together, but honestly I feel like it's a little bit better, not just because of the pull rates, but also just because of the cards that are in here. But I do feel that the pull rates are pretty similar. If you guys want to go ahead and check out the Journey Together video, there'll be a link in the description and also a little info card if you want to click on that, just so you can get an idea before going into this what Journey Together pull rates were like for me from my case. But anyways, to get started, in box number one, we have 136 out of 147 commons, so nearly done. We have had some sets where we have been able to complete all of the commons in the first box, but of course this is a larger set, so we still got pretty close. Reverse holos, we got about a third of the way there at 65 out of 165. Then for the holos, we got all of them, which there are 18 different holos. By the way, as I was going through and counting these just to make sure, I used the Justin Basil visual set list, so I'm hoping everything was counted correctly, so hopefully I'm not too far off with a lot of this, but I at least know when I put my master set together, like my stack of cards, the end result is correct at the very least. So hopefully these numbers aren't too far off. But yeah, there were 18 holos. We ended up pulling all of them in box one, which is crazy to me. Any other time we've gotten all the holos in the first box, and which hasn't happened often either, usually they've been smaller sets with like 8 or 10 holos, but 18 holos and we get them all in the first box was crazy. Moving on to the EXs, we got 7 out of 17 EXs, so fair amount of EXs in the set. Of course, with so many different trainers as well, they gave pretty much all of them EXs, and so yeah, there's quite a bit, but 7 out of 17, pretty good, basically almost half of them, so not bad. Illustration rares 23, which is insane, but so many amazing ones, and we got 3 out of 23 in the first box. And for full arts, I like to split them up between Pokemon and trainer, so there's 14 Pokemon and 8 trainer full arts, and we managed to get 2 full arts, both of which were Pokemon. And then last but not least, the big hitter for special illustrationers, there's 11 of them, so quite a bit, and definitely won't be able to get all of them in one case, but we did manage to get one, and probably the biggest one of the set, and that is the Team Rocket's Mewtwo. Of course, you guys would have already known if you guys saw my post on X, because typically I like to open the first box on my own and also post the results just to kind of show off the start of how the case is. And yeah, it just started off on such a crazy opening. I didn't know how the rest of the set was going to go from here, but it honestly went pretty well. And moving on to box number 2, we finished off all the commons, not that we needed much. We had almost double the reverse holos. We ended up at 119. EXs, we got 8 total, with 7 of them being new, so we're at 14 out of 17, nearly completing the EXs here. Another 3 illustration rares, putting us at 6 out of 23. And then we got 3 full arts this time. We got 2 Pokemon and 1 trainer, all new, which, by the way, I will say now, we didn't really get a lot of duplicates, which was really, really awesome. Besides EXs, of course, because those are kind of being tracked individually. When it came to the IRs and full arts and stuff, there really weren't a lot of dupes, which was pretty nice. I guess depending, unless you're trying to get like a play set of certain ones, but for master set purposes, it was really good. No SIR or gold in this box, which again, not all boxes will come with one, but typically if they do, you're usually only going to get one or the other. But I looked ahead and opened up box number 3. We ended up with 150 out of 165 reverse holos, so almost creeping up to finishing the reverses. But we ended up getting the last 3 EXs, but we got 7 total in this box. Another 3 illustration rares, but this is where we ended up getting a duplicate, so getting one wasn't too bad though, especially because I believe it was the Houndoom, which is an incredible illustration rare. And for full arts, we ended up getting another 2 new ones, 1 new Pokemon and 1 new trainer. No SIR, but we did get a gold, and that was the gold Lavencia Stadium, which I didn't know was a thing. I know Jamming Tower was in here, and I know, of course, some of the gold Pokemon are in here. But yeah, I did not expect Lavincia in here, so that threw me off, and also kind of worried me a bit because now I got 2 hits in the first 3 boxes. I wasn't sure if I was only going to get 1 more hit, 2 more hits, maybe 3, I don't know. I've had cases like Surging Sparks where I got 5 hits. I've also had some cases where I've only gotten 3. Mostly I've gotten 4 though, so I wasn't sure what to expect in the next 3 boxes. And then this is where box number 4 came into play. We ended up completing the main set by getting all of our reverse holos here, so we got everything done that isn't like a special card. So that's always an easy thing to do. That's never a big problem. It's just getting the special cards, of course. We did get 8 EXs total, just so you guys are aware of the EX pull rate still. We got 4 total illustration rares, which I thought was crazy because 4 was kind of a lot comparing as we were getting 3 at a time. We did get another 2 full arts with 1 new Pokemon and 1 new trainer. And this is where I worried a little bit because we did get a special illustration rare, but it was Arvin's Mabostiv, which is a beautiful SIR, do not get me wrong, but with all of the other SIRs in here and the ones that I wanted to chase, worried me that I may not get anything in box number 5 or 6 because now that we have 3 is like, is there a chance for 4? Maybe there's a chance for 5, but chances were low at this point. But then if you guys saw my last opening up the last 2 booster boxes of the case, you guys will know how this went. So box number 5, we got 8 EXs total. We got 2 illustration rares, only 1 of them being new though. We got 3 full arts with 2 being Pokemon and 1 trainer. And then the biggest hit of it all, we ended up getting my biggest chase of the set, and that is Cynthia's Garchomp EX SIR. I couldn't believe it, and I wish I would have made it a little bit better as I was showing it off and opening, but yeah, my biggest chase of the set. And obviously you look at it, like we got Mewtwo and Cynthia, which probably are going to be the 2 biggest hits of the set, I think. And the fact we pulled both of them in one case was absolutely insane, so I couldn't believe it. I was ecstatic, and from there, even if box 6 didn't have anything, I was perfectly content with what I ended up getting. Which, speaking of box number 6, at the EXs, we got 8 total again. Illustration rares, we ended up getting 4 new illustration rares. Full arts, we got 2 total with only 1 new, and that was a trainer, and no SIR or gold in here. So yeah, 3 SIRs and 1 gold is basically what we got as far as the major hits. So overall thoughts, like I said, it seemed pretty similar to Journey Together. You were getting about 7 to 8 EXs a box. Seemed like you were getting about 3 IRs per box. We had a couple that had 4, which was pretty good. And then the box we got Cynthia, I think, had 2, but it kind of like makes sense because I also felt like when it came to the SIR boxes and the gold box, they would like take an illustration rare or a full art away and then give you that SIR. That kind of would take the spot of one of those, which I mean made a lot of sense to me versus, hey, the box will be pretty consistent every time. We're just going to throw in an SIR, you know? But yeah, mostly about 3 illustration rares per box. Full arts kind of seem the same with 3. There were some where we would only get 2, but overall the fact we ended up with 13 full arts was pretty solid. And as well with the illustration rares being at 15 out of 23, like being over half on these, I think is just pretty good. And then of course, 3 SIRs and 1 gold. In Journey Together, we ended up with 4 hits also, although it was 2 SIRs and 2 gold cards. Still the same when it comes to those hits, although at least for me personally, I do prefer getting special illustrationers, of course. But yeah, like I said, personally, I feel like it was pretty similar to Journey Together, but with what the pulls were and just how amazing they were, at least for me personally, and the fact it was kind of a little better when it came to how many full arts and illustrationers you were getting, that's what made this set a little better for me. Now, I will say it was definitely more pricey. It was a couple $100 more than I paid for Journey Together, which I even look at Journey Together now and it's just crazy how much it's gone down as far as the set value, even though booster boxes are holding their value surprisingly, which is very odd. We may see that with Destined Rivals as well. I've talked to a few people with different stores, whether it's local card shops and even retailers, and I've been hearing some of their inventory for release day, they've gotten so much more than they have in the past. So my personal take is there will be quite a bit of product, depending on where you live, of course, but there will probably be quite a bit of product depending on where you go and what stores. Even for me, some of my nearby stores that used to have barely anything had so much Destined Rivals, at least from what I'm hearing. So hopefully, as you guys go out there and shop, definitely try to buy retail as much as you can. I know finding booster boxes will be hard, and that's the tough thing, but I mean, anything you can get if you're trying to open the set, whether it's the ETBs, booster bundles, which will be your best value, and just whatever else you want to get and try to collect. But Destined Rivals is an amazing set. I definitely think you should at least open a bit of it, but please don't pay those high prices. There will be product at MSRP. please go for that. And if you end up not being able to right away, give it time, you will see a lot more. I understand FOMO is a big thing, but don't worry. I know it's hard, but sometimes you just gotta be patient. But hopefully this gives you guys kind of a more informed take on booster boxes and the booster box case in general. I enjoy doing this a lot because I feel as though this gives a little bit more of a realistic outlook when it comes to buying booster boxes or a booster box case. Of course, not many people are going to be able to, but I think this can speak a little bit to pull rates in general, but specifically with booster boxes, you can kind of look at it, and if you end up buying one, hopefully at retail, you know what you're basically gonna be expecting, a decent amount of, illustration errors and full arts and stuff, but there's potentially that chance or non-chance of pulling an SIR or a gold card. So that's just something to weigh in, but that happens all the time with booster boxes. But booster boxes are the most consistent thing, and overall, a case is gonna be the most consistent thing when it comes to like pull rates in general on that spectrum, which I'm not saying if you go pack by pack, what are pull rates and whatever the case is. There's 216 packs in a booster box case. I got 3 SIRs. That doesn't mean it's going to be 3 SIRs per 216 packs. But yeah, definitely consider it, but don't look too deep into it where it just doesn't make much sense. That's why I feel like personally when it comes to these things, I don't want to look at the overall picture of how many packs does it take to get a certain card or whatever, because depending on where those packs came from, especially if they all came from booster boxes and booster box cases and whatever, makes things a little bit harder to judge. But I feel like at least with a booster box and booster box case, you can get a pretty consistent idea, especially at the beginning here. But those are my thoughts. Of course, we didn't end up completing the Destined Rivals set in one case, but we did very well. But I know this still will be a pricey set to complete because we still have 8 SIRs to try and chase and 5 gold cards. So it's going to be difficult, but hopefully we can get there. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Good luck to everybody for the release of Destined Rivals. Hopefully you guys are able to get your products, get some amazing pulls, and overall just enjoy the set because it's amazing and it is definitely a great set to open. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.